The Taj Mahal. It is more than just an architectural marvel. It's arguably the most recognizable silhouette on the planet. 200 feet of gleaming white marble, rising defiantly over the murky waters of the Yamuna River. Every year, 8 million people travel here to take the same photo and to hear the same beautiful legend of eternal love. But if you step away from the grand gates and head down toward the riverbank, the picture starts to change. That perfect facade is hiding a secret. There are cracks in the marble that architects have to patch every single year. Deep underground, there are sealed corridors where entry is forbidden, even if you have a government clearance. And the foundation? The very thing holding up millions of tons of stone? It's made of a material that, by all accounts, should have rotted away over a century ago. We've been taught to see this place as a monument to romance, but historical records tell a very different story. This is a monument to staggering debt, a brutal struggle for power, and engineering choices that border on insanity. Why was there supposed to be a pitch-black twin standing directly across the river? What exactly is hidden behind the bricked-up walls of the basement? And is it true that the builders left a coded message in the architecture, one we still haven't been able to crack? Today, we aren't looking at the brochures. We're breaking down the 6 mysteries that turn this world wonder into one of history's most complex puzzles. We're going inside the locked vaults, examining the forensic reports, and figuring out how this building is even standing against every law of physics. If you stand with your back to the Taj Mahal and look across the river, you'll see a desolate stretch of land. It's overgrown with weeds, home to nothing but stray dogs and the occasional tourist looking for a different angle. But 370 years ago, Emperor Shah Jahan had a vision for that empty shore. According to ancient chronicles, the White Mausoleum was only half the plan. On the opposite bank, a dark twin was supposed to rise. An exact replica, same dome, same minarets, but carved entirely from midnight black marble. This black Taj Mahal was meant to be the emperor's own tomb. The 2 structures, the white one for his beloved wife, Mumtaz, and the black one for himself, were to be connected by a grand bridge arching over the water. White for light and life, black for shadow, mourning, and the end of the journey. It was the most ambitious and most expensive project in human history. But there was a problem. The empire's treasury was draining at a terrifying rate. When rumors spread that the foundation for the Black Taj was finally being laid, the inevitable happened. The emperor's own son, Aurangzeb, decided his father had lost his mind to grief and greed. He launched a bloody coup, murdered his brothers, and locked his father away in a tower at the Agra fort. Shah Jahan spent the final years of his life in a small room with a single view. He could look through a tiny window at the glowing white Taj Mahal in the distance, and at the empty, dusty bank across the water, where his own dream had died. That dream cost him his throne and his freedom. The story of the Black Taj is so hauntingly perfect that for centuries, travelers swore they had seen the ruins. The main source was a French jeweler named Jean-Baptiste Tavernier. He was in India while the Taj was being built, and he wrote in his journals that work on the second tomb had actually begun. Tavernier wasn't just some tourist. He traded diamonds with the emperors themselves. People believed him. Even today, the internet is full of theories that the foundation of the Black Taj is still there, buried under layers of river silt. Some say the Indian government is hiding the truth because they don't want to admit how much wealth was wasted. But archaeology is a cold, hard science. In the 1990s, scientists finally began a massive excavation of the Moonlight Garden on that opposite bank. They found walls, they found pools, and they found black stones. For a moment, It looked like the legend was true. But then the lab results came back. It wasn't black onyx. It wasn't basalt. It was just ordinary white marble that had turned black from centuries of dirt, pollution, and oxidation. The swampy soil had stained the stones until they were unrecognizable. So, was the emperor lying? Not exactly. A digital reconstruction of the landscape revealed something brilliant. Shah Jahan didn't need to build a second palace. He built a viewing platform. The pond in the moonlight garden was engineered with mathematical precision. On a clear moonlit night, the reflection of the white Taj Mahal would fall perfectly into the dark water. In that reflection, against the night sky, the white marble appeared pitch black. Shah Jahan hadn't planned a twin made of stone. He had created a ghost twin made of light. It was a stroke of genius, and it didn't cost the empire a single extra coin. Tavernier likely saw the garden walls under construction and let his imagination do the rest. But if the Black Taj was just an optical illusion, the next mystery is very, very real, and it's hiding right beneath the feet of the crowds. If you think the Taj Mahal is just that white dome on the postcards, you're only seeing the tip of the iceberg. Most of the complex is actually hidden from view. Down by the river, in the red sandstone base, there's a long corridor leading deep into the foundation. Inside, there are 22 rooms, and their doors have been welded shut with iron bars or bricked up for over half a century. No tourists, no journalists, not even most government officials are allowed inside. Naturally, the silence has fueled a wildfire of rumors. The most popular theory? That those rooms contain statues of Hindu gods, evidence of an ancient temple that was destroyed to make way for the Taj. People claim the government is terrified of a religious war if those doors ever open. Others whisper about secret Mughal treasures, or the bodies of the workers who died building the foundation. But the real reason those doors are sealed is far more terrifying for the building itself. It's not ghosts, it's chemistry. The Taj Mahal is literally dying from the inside out. The marble is made of calcium carbonate. When it hits the carbon dioxide in the air, especially in a damp, humid basement, it starts a reaction called carbonization. The stone basically turns into gypsum. It begins to peel and crumble like dust. Architects realized that if they opened those 22 rooms to thousands of breathing tourists, the CO2 levels would spike instantly. It would trigger a chain reaction that could rot the supporting arches from the inside. The brick walls aren't prison doors for secrets. They're a seal. They've created a dead zone with a stable microclimate to keep the foundation from turning to powder. The building is being kept on life support, just to buy it another 100 years. Every tour guide in Agra tells this story. It's the dark side of the fairy tale. They say that when the emperor first saw the completed Taj, he was so blinded by its beauty that he was gripped by a sudden psychotic fear. He couldn't stand the thought of the architects ever building something even more beautiful for someone else. So, he gave a monstrous order. The story goes that the next morning, 20,000 stonemasons and architects had their hands chopped off. They say the Yamuna River ran red. It's a story of ultimate ego, destroying talent so that the emperor's masterpiece would remain unique forever. It's a chilling explanation for why we never saw another building like this. But when historians went looking for the bodies, they found payroll records instead. We know the lead architect's name, Ustad Ahmad Lahori. According to the legend, he should have been handless by 1648. Yet, official contracts show he was designing and building the Red Fort in Delhi years later. It's pretty hard to draw complex blueprints without hands. So, where did the severed hands story come from? Linguists believe it was a classic case of a lost in translation moment. Back then, when the emperor signed a contract with a master builder, he made them swear an oath never to work for another ruler. In the Persian language of the court, the idiom for this was to have your hands tied, or to cut off the hands from work. It was a non-compete clause. It meant the architect got a massive pension for life in exchange for exclusivity. Over the centuries, the metaphor was taken literally. A generous retirement package was turned into a bloody massacre. If you look at old maps of Agra, you'll notice something strange. Every other fort or palace was built on high ground or solid rock, but the Taj Mahal stands in the most dangerous spot imaginable, on a bend in the river, sitting on soft clay and shifting sand. For a building that weighs millions of tons, this is a death trap. Any modern engineer will tell you that building a marble skyscraper on a swamp is madness. The building should have started tilting or cracking centuries ago. Instead, it stood perfectly level for nearly 400 years, through earthquakes and floods. The secret wasn't magic. It was an engineering trick we still use today for offshore oil rigs. The builders dug massive wells deep into the earth, punching through the quicksand until they hit solid ground. They filled these wells with stone and mortar to create massive pillars. But the real impossible part? The entire Taj Mahal sits on a giant raft made of wood, specifically ebony. Normally, wood in a basement is a disaster. It rots. But ebony has a superpower. As long as it stays completely submerged in water, away from oxygen, it doesn't rot. It gets harder, almost as tough as iron. The river isn't the enemy. It's the life support system. Its water soaks into the foundation, keeping the wood moist and strong. But here is the modern tragedy. The Yamuna River is drying up. Between dams and pollution, the water level is dropping. If the water disappears and the ebony wood dries out, it will become brittle and turn to dust. The Taj Mahal could literally collapse under its own weight, simply because the river stopped flowing. In 1989, a book was released that sent shockwaves through India. The author claimed the Taj Mahal was a lie. He argued that Shah Jahan didn't build it at all, that it was originally an ancient Hindu temple dedicated to the god Shiva, called Tejo Mahalaya. The theory suggests the emperor captured the palace, scraped off the ancient symbols, and turned it into a tomb. Supporters point to clues in the architecture. Why is there a lotus flower, a sacred Hindu symbol, on top of an Islamic dome? Why do the patterns on the walls look like datura flowers, which are traditionally offered to Shiva? For many, it felt like history had been rewritten by the winners. But experts say the truth is more beautiful than the conspiracy. The architecture of the Mughals wasn't just imported from the desert, it was a fusion. The Taj was built by Indian craftsmen who had spent centuries carving lotuses into temples. The emperor didn't forbid those symbols, he embraced them. He wanted a style that represented his whole empire, not just one religion. The lotus on the dome isn't evidence of a stolen temple. It's a symbol of two cultures merging into one. And the hard evidence? Carbon dating on the original wooden doors and ancient accounting ledgers confirm the timeline. You can't fake thousands of pages of daily grocery bills and worker wages from the 1600s. The Taj Mahal isn't a converted temple. It's something better. It's the highest proof that different traditions can create something together that neither could have built alone. The Taj Mahal is a masterpiece of manicured perfection. It is an anthem to symmetry. If you draw a line down the center of the gardens, the left side is a perfect millimeter-accurate mirror of the right. Every tree has a twin. Every fountain has a pair. To the left of the mausoleum stands a red sandstone mosque. To the right stands a building called the Jawab, or the Answer. It serves no religious purpose. It's only there to balance the mosque. Even the minarets are part of a grand illusion. They look perfectly straight, but they actually lean slightly outward. This was done for safety. If a massive earthquake hits, the towers will fall away into the gardens rather than crushing the central tomb. But if you walk inside that quiet, cool chamber and look at the graves, you'll see the one thing that breaks the spell. In the dead center of the room sits the tomb of Taj Mahal. It's perfectly aligned with the axis of the building, but right next to it, squeezed in like an afterthought, is the tomb of Shah Jahan. It's larger, higher, and it completely ruins the symmetry of the room. For years, people thought it was a symbolic flaw to show humility before God, but the truth is much more human. Shah Jahan never intended to be buried there. He wanted his own black Taj across the river. He wanted to be the lone ruler of his own dark palace. But when his son threw him in prison and seized the treasury, the money ran out. When the old emperor died, his son didn't want to spend a single cent on a new tomb for the father he hated. He skipped the state funeral. He skipped the monuments. He had the body carried in quietly and tucked it next to his mother because it was the cheapest option available. The man who spent his entire life obsessed with mathematical perfection ended up being the very thing that broke it. His own body became the chaos he tried so hard to banish from the stone. The Taj Mahal is more than a beautiful image on a screen. It's a machine of contradictions. We see a legend of a black palace that turned out to be an optical illusion. We see sealed basements where brick walls are fighting a losing battle against chemistry. We see a masterpiece built on mud and rotting wood, held together by a dying river. It reminds us that history is never just black and white. Behind great beauty, there is always great sacrifice, desperate engineering, and family tragedy. But maybe the biggest mystery of the Taj Mahal isn't in its foundations or its hidden rooms. It's the fact that even now, knowing the truth about the debt, the power struggles, and the mistakes, we still look at that dome and see a love that managed to defeat time. If a building this fragile can survive 400 years of chaos, maybe there's hope for the rest of us. If stories like this make you see history differently, if you enjoy uncovering the secrets hidden behind the world's greatest monuments, then you are in the right place. Because on this channel, we don't just look at famous places, we uncover the truths buried beneath them, the lost histories, the hidden engineering, and the mysteries most people never question. So if you want to explore more stories like this, make sure you subscribe, because the next mystery might change the way you see the world.